top esports, which has been kind of an old school comfort stall for them. Whereas when we look across at WE, they are very much looking to see if they can get these full big engages off with the shorter range, I will say.
Yeah, you mentioned Tahm Kench as someone who, when the Thresh is banned, which we can see top esports did, is something that can be used as a little bit of a pseudo substitute, just keeps him nice and safe. Honestly, I look at Team WE's picks, they just comfort across the board. This is like people, apart from maybe the Kaisa, I'm just like, every single one of these I would be perfectly happy given to them.
Yeah, I think the bigger question is, like, where... I'm assuming that Renekton is top, but, like, you've got the... There is an argument there to put the Jayce in towards the top lane. Maybe we got a bit of flexibility coming in the draft for top esports. So I think you do have a pretty decent fighting style on top esports where they can try and play around, you know, the fact you've got the safety, the Tahm Kench there, try and use the fact you've got this long range and abuse that in many of these situations. Versus when we look at the opposite side, you're going to be seeing if for WE, they can try and get off to a good start. I mean, at least if it is that Renekton in the mid lane, Azir should have a good amount of control there. Maybe trying to play off that as Shanks here to set up for Beishang, because again, this is WE we're talking about. They love to play off of the pressure that can be created through their laners, and Shanks will have that here, as we said, with the Azir into Renekton. We
will not delay any further. We are on to the riff for this best of 3 between Team WE and Top Esports. Both teams on 11-4, as you can see in your top right-hand and left-hand corners. Winner of this game will lock themselves into a top 4 position. That we know for sure. But for losing, that tells a little bit of differences for both these teams.
So the thing is, Top Esports could even rise all the way up to 3rd if they end up winning this game, depending on some other outcomes and that. But certainly if they lose, they will find themselves in 6th place, slotting in behind FPX. If we look across at WE, a win here, we're getting that 4th place slot. The loss will leave them in potentially 6th, if not 7th, depending on our action tomorrow as well. So a lot on the line here for both these teams. But as we bring it back into this game, we're kind of looking at, okay, where are these teams strong? Because certainly when we look at 369 the top lane, this is a great matchup for the Jayce. You have range, the Gnar, you have really good all-in potential when it comes to the mini Gnar form of Breathe, and he should be able to keep control of this top side.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something that we're going to talk about quite a bit as we look into everything as well. Like the tried and tested kind of 369 up in that top side, making things happen in the lane phase.
He also got a... Oh, sorry, he actually started with the longsword. So he's actually opted in towards the extra pots as well. So he's going very heavy into, hey, I want to abuse this matchup as early as possible. And when we were talking about, hey, look, maybe for Beishang, you can try and go for these early invades, especially off of Shanks' pressure in the mid lane. Having the ability of 369 to come and play across and help out Karsa is going to work wonders here for them.
We had a lot of pre-game stuff set up for this series. Obviously, it is our match of the week. It's something that we're... take a lot of time and out of our days to work out and figure out what the best storylines and what the best kind of talking points will be. These are two teams that do very, very different things while also still arriving at the same destination.
Yeah, and we're going to see the most of that in that when you look at both sides, literally in this game right now, right, you got 3 carry threats across the board from top, mid, and bot side, but the way that they play around that is very different. WE, we've already kind of mentioned, looking to facilitate Beishang when he goes for these invades, looking to look towards dragons, and use that lane pressure for jungle. Whereas when you look towards Top Esports, their jungle is about enabling their laners, and that's where Karsa's control over the map comes from. And what we'll probably see in a lot of this is him trying to see if, okay, I can try and facilitate JackeyLove having this range advantage over Jiumeng to push in and get some turret plates for himself and start to snowball this Jinx. Same when we look towards top side, trying to make sure that 369 is safe to abuse the matchup that he has as well.
Well, you can see there, both Karsa on the bot side and Beishang on the top side, picking up themselves up their own scuttle. Beishang now finds himself up around by 369, who will almost certainly be forced to flash here. The phase rush is good. Actually, phase rush is enough. Does not lose a summoner, but will need to reset.
But that's what we're talking about, right? In this matchup, 369, the entire game plan is to push in, make sure that he's able to chip away these turret plates. So what I'd love to see Karsa do right now to enable this is, hey, look, clear out these Krugs. You know Beishang is just backed, so move in towards the enemy side, get some of this deep vision, and make sure that 369 is going to play, or at least be able to play aggressive while staying safe.
Yeah, got the tier, another long sword as well. No real sustain, but like you said, he's going to be going back and forth throughout this lane pretty damn frequently. Just kind of wants to push and go, push and go. And looking again towards kind of how this game's going to go about, a lot of early / mid-game power coming out from Top Esports, with a little bit of safety with the Jinx. But honestly, the later this kind of one goes, I tend to lean a little bit more towards WE.
It's a bit of a strange one. It very much comes down to execution, right? Because as we talked about, you have a lot of range that Top Esports can go for. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised to see JackeyLove go for a rapid fire cannon second here after the Kraken Slayer. So you can just poke and prod, and then eventually what you're looking to do is use this Predator that's on Karsa, use Knight as well, that when you've dealt the damage, you can find these big, fast engages in onto the low health bars of WE. Because if you're able to keep WE at arm's length, Breathe isn't going to do very much. Beishang can't do anything. Same with Jiumeng. They need to be enabled in order to deal any damage to Top Esports.
You can see just right now, WE, without any real knowledge as to where Karsa is, they have to play on the back foot. They have to be defensive. They put down a couple of wards. They sweep it out saying, right, are we clear to clear this vision? Are we here, you know, to kind of take these minions? That's going to be a little bit of a damage or poke war, but Jiumeng, he's not got a lot of mana, and Missing's not got a lot of health. Yeah,
and I like this call from WE to just back away. The big thing here was that because you've got this Predator Lillia, she can run in very quickly. A lot of damage can come out from the Predator amplification as well. So they decide to back away. A bit worried about like Knight coming in as well. That TP advantage for the Renekton, pretty huge in any sort of bot lane play.
Well, we'll see now. Tahm Kench just about gets out. Beishang does not quite get himself into a position to stop that recall. Might have been able to make some kind of disruption happen, but again, this is something we were looking at when we were looking towards this series, that, you know, Knight being on something that can be lane dominant, that can just push in and immediately look to make moves elsewhere. We talked about it in the series during the week, you know, when we were talking about Top Esports. They are a massively early game favored team. They are just dominating the laning phase, and it's been those little moments after the laning phase where either they fall or they completely tower above.
Yeah, I mean, look, Top Esports always look for these early skirmishes, right? And when you've got this Renekton, you can go for early skirmishes.
You can just go for skirmishes. As Dominus has been popped. First blood goes over to Knight. And yeah, that's exactly what we expect from this team. That's exactly what we expect from Knight and from Karsa.
And it's one of the problems that we've actually had with Beishang recently. Is we saw it a lot in his EDG series. We're starting to see an inkling of it here again, is that he's trying to go for these more selfish plays, where he's playing off of the lane state and trying to get this farm. But fortunately for him, teams are reading this well.
Yeah, they are reading it well, and the TP's going to be committed here. That's going to be coming in from Knight, and he knocks onto the chomps. They're actually going to flash away, but there's nowhere for you to go. Knight picks up a second, a perfectly timed TP, and they get everything out of this bot lane.
And this is exactly how you play this bottom lane as JackeyLove and Zhuo. All you do is keep poking, keep pushing, and make sure that every time Missing goes for the engage, Zhuo gobbles up JackeyLove, keeps him safe, plonks him into a better position, and they just rinse and repeat. Now Shanks, with no mana, may have to try and back away here, but not going to be forced to flash.
Not quite yet, but like you said, out of mana and really kind of out of options. Should be able to get a pretty decent back, though, as he did have the wave pushed up, as we have a look now on that top side that then led into the bot side.
Yeah, so it looks like there's the fight over Scuttle. Knight gets the nice ward down. And I mean, this is again, like, Beishang, you've got pressure top right, but Breathe would need to already be moving down to make this play worth. You don't actually have the push in mid either, so he's completely isolated here. And although, again, we were saying, look, you can make these plays, you got to make sure that all the pieces to the puzzle are there first.
And we were just thinking about this as well. You look at Beishang, how he gets majority of his advantages for his team is he's aggressive. He bullies out, you know, maybe not so in-the-know junglers and kind of says, look, I'm just better than you. But you're against Karsa, the granddaddy of jungles in the LPL. You have to pay that respect. You can't just go walking in willy-nilly.
And this is why I actually want to see Beishang play around this bottom side, because I think the best way to try and do this is, look, you know when Missing goes in, Zhuo is going to devour JackeyLove to keep him safe. If you've got Beishang who's then coming in after, with the cleanseless JackeyLove, you can get in on top of him here as Udyr and set up for Jiumeng. You got the killer instinct to cut him off, and this becomes far more easy to enact. You then turn that bot lane pressure into dragons, and you're home free as WE. You're in a much better spot. However, we've seen him try to play this more selfish game. It's not quite working out for him. And Top Esports, just through their laning phases, have a 20 CS advantage in bot. They're starting to pick up advantages in top as well.
We've already got a little bit of a kind of camp lead, a 2-camp lead into that jungle as well. And 2 kills for Knight means that there might as well be a CS differential. But Shanks, with the Azir, should have a plenty of decent time, but with no TP now for either of the solo laners, this should be a 3v2, but those are great chomps right there. All he has to do is drop down the chain chomps, gets himself a heal, there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah, and you can even see as well that Top Esports were responding incredibly well to that. Knight had ditched the mid lane to start moving down. You saw Karsa was still in the area as well, so they knew pretty much they were safe at all points of time to go for this. And I like the way Knight is nearly taken on. I'm not going to say it's a Doomby style or that far, but certainly Knight this split has been far more in favor of, hey look, I'm going to gift over like 2, 3, 4 CS in this mid lane so then I can get further advantages in a side lane or in this bot lane. And it's been a bit of a different style to him, but certainly one that's been net dividends for Top Esports.
You can see now WE trying to push in this wave as best they can. Now that's big. Devour is down and they've got themselves missing coming in. He's going to tank up as much as he can, flash for flash, but the killer instinct is enough. So Beishang picks himself up a kill. That's a good response for Team WE. They keep the pressure.
And that's exactly what we said we wanted them to do, right? Use the fact that JackeyLove was greedy, not taking cleanse, and it means that then you can burn the safety net that Zhuo offers and then bring in Beishang afterwards. Great job by WE, and exactly what we said, turn bot lane pressure into dragon.
Yep, they get a kill, they get some pressure down, they also get themselves the dragon. Zhuo is here. He has got flash and exhaust. They're going to use a TP straight away. There's no smite. There's nothing. Oh no, WE! Zhuo is the king of this bot lane, the River King, and he takes his prize.
Oh, I can't believe Zhuo managed that. Steals the kill on towards Beishang, steals the dragon, and honestly, steals my heart a little bit with that one as well. That was just amazing. Now, the Rift Herald as well coming in towards this mid lane, which had been picked up by Karsa. It's going to go tonight. Now, usually you're like, well, why are you giving this to Renekton, right? But the whole game plan here is to get this long lane for Knight that allows him to go towards side lanes. Tower, though, will just about manage to stand with Shanks coming back in.
Oh man, now it's a 2,500 gold lead in favor of Top Esports, and they're the team that can utilize that one there. That is a rookie error there from Beishang. You know the show is around. You know that they have some kind of summoners available. You can't just randomly decide to go for Dragon if you're not fully prepared for it. They got too greedy. They didn't put in their, cross their T's, dot their I's, and they got punished.
And it's sad to see that Beishang has really been struggling their last few series because honestly, like WE could have gone far in the playoffs. I'm not saying that they won't. It's just that when so much of their plays revolve around Beishang, to see that Beishang is like, hey, look, I'm just going to walk up to Zhuo here, going to take the damage, and you don't even have a smite there. Like, the smite was not up and available. This was always a risky play, and you get Karsa flashing in, the commit from Shanks on that ultimate as well. Like, it's very, very messy from WE, and when you're looking literally down the barrel of playoffs, they start in 5 days for us. You need to be clean and calm and collected. It's not what WE looks like right now.
Not even do they start in 5 days. This could be the difference between you being in round 1 and you being in round 3. That is 2 best of 5s that you might be able to avoid if you're able to win this series. And that could be the detriment to Team WE for flying high for so long. They're now struggling.
And again, we're seeing the game plan coming through from Top Esports where, okay, cool, we've got Knight with Strikebreaker now. He went for the early Merc thread, so the poke from Shanks is pretty negligible at this stage. And honestly, I think you just bring Karsa towards mid lane, try and shove down this last turret. It's on its last legs, and then you can start to move Knight around. Move down towards bottom lane, look for the 4-man dives, especially when JackeyLove has already been whittling away at this turret. You can start to get more plates or just the tower itself off of these plays. Or even if you want to, you can see 3 turret plates only left standing on the top lane turret. Let's make a move towards 369.
And you're probably wondering, 3,000 gold, not the greatest in the world. What does that mean? Well, if you look down the items, it means completed mythics. It literally means completed mythics for absolutely everyone bar the supports versus parts of mythics, versus parts of items. And that's where these big kind of fights can happen.
Top lane dive is about to happen. We just said Knight wants to get out of lane. He's already here, and he's already popped Dominus.
Breathe will have the Mega Gnar very, very shortly. Trying to build up that rage right now. Doesn't latch onto the boomerang, does get a hop away. That's going to be the 3rd kill of the game now, going over to Knight on this Renekton. They will soak up a little bit of extra damage, but nothing too untoward. And now with the Tahm Kench here, Missing just going to punt him out back into the river and say, look, we're fine. And the AD carries are nowhere to be seen, so this is going to be a 4v3 native. But Breathe will have his TP up when he spawns.
The big thing in all this, though, is although top esports are, yes, getting these advantages, that ticking time bomb in Jinx is just working her way through bot side. Like, JackeyLove has been completely untouched apart from that one dive. It's no longer available for Beishang to go for these repeat dives to make sure that you really punish the fact that that flash was down. And top esports, by causing chaos and elsewhere in the map, have actually gifted that safety to JackeyLove.
They are a very, very scary team, and honestly, even with Missing trying to hold up this wave, he just can't. He'd take far, far too much damage. He didn't have perfect vision, or actually any vision, to be perfectly honest, of where anybody else from top esports was. Did not want to give up his life, so they will just give up the tower. So that is mid lane turret going down in favor of top esports first, and that just opens up the map. This makes it so much easier to get in those wards that can set up Knight or 369 for a teleport flank.
Yeah. The good news, though, for WE is they've actually got first reset here, so they should be the ones in theory with control of river as long as they can shove out this mid lane. Although, looks like they might try and make something happen on the bot side here for top esports to dissuade that.
Well, they're actually going to go for the TP now, and JackeyLove in a little bit of trouble. His flash is available, but there is the jump straight into the loving arms of Zhuo. Nice Mega Gnar, though, into the wall means Karsa will drop, and the 3-man knock-up from Missing WE. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are here to stay, and we want more.
They won't be able to get Knight at the moment, though, but he will eventually drop. And this is where disaster strikes for top esports, biting off more than they can chew. No TP available for 369 as Knight. Slippery Crocodile still trying to get away, but either way, Dragon will go to WE. The fight goes to WE, and top esports, big mistake.
Big mistake. A lot of gold going into the back pockets of the side of Team WE, and they get the reset, they get the dragon, they can now stop that stacking, so you're kind of prolonging the game. And yes, we talked about how that ticking time bomb in Jinx is going to be an absolute monster in the late game. Kaisa and Azir are no slouches. They will do damage in those late game team fights. The one thing that happened, though, that goes in favor of top esports is 369 got a hell of a lot of time in that top side.
Yeah, got that tower down in top side, has got a decent amount of gold for himself, but it's not going to equal this, and this is a great call from WE. They know top esports really want to commit to that bot lane turret, and great job from Breathe as well, knowing to hold on to that Mega Gnar, get the Devour out first, and then you can hit multiple members into the wall with that Gnar ultimate. So WE, great play here, nice turnaround, and this is something that we actually see them do quite a lot, is committing these multi-man plays, these multi-man TPs to bot side to make things like this happen. And now it finally feels like WE might have a bit of control back in this game, but you can already see top esports, this is where they become strongest. Moving around the map, out-rotating, and trying to get down the last of these towers.
And again, like we mentioned, 369 got a hell of a lot of time just to himself in that top side. So he was very, very far ahead of Breed before this one kind of came into it, and now he's going to be able to kind of continue that dominance. And Jayce in this early game, you can see already with 7,100 gold is the highest of anybody. Actually, no, sorry, excuse me, Knight is the highest. He's the second highest.
Fair to say, though, Rift Herald here for top esports on the bottom side. 5 members, and WE are not in position. No TP for Breed.
No TP for Breed, and they're going to try and jump in. There's a lilting Lullaby just going to go down onto Missing, who immediately cleanses it. They jump down onto Karsa, who's then forced to just get devoured in. It will be a trade of turret for turret, but that's 2 turrets to 1, and they're still pushing with this Rift Herald.
Yeah, and you've got to go back as WE. Like, this charge and this tower will not survive.
Well, they've cracked open the base at 18 minutes. He jumps straight down on top of Beishang, and he is dead to rights. Jiumeng being rocketed down. And this is the perfect play right now. You don't kill off the inhibitor because that just gives a lot of gold and loses a lot of minions to you. So you just crack open the base. It's there for whenever you need it.
Well, I mean, it's there in a minute and a half, right, when this Baron spawns. So now you've got 369, who's just bigger than Breathe, can start to play around this bottom side, can look to exploit the fact that you've got no terror there, and then you have the rest of top esports playing towards this Baron. You have Knight, who can play frontline, do whatever you want, and JackeyLove to rip through with this Kraken Slayer.
Give these teams an inch and they take a mile. It's one small mistake, it's one small misstep, or it's just one advantage that they've accrued for themselves, and it just blows everything wide open. That bot lane is now one of the longest lanes in the history of it. And like you said, with the Baron being coming up, as I say that, 369, he's flash. He's going to jump into the sky, flash away. They are going to get the knock back and get him underneath the tower, and he will go down, perfectly given over to Shanks. That's the kind of plays you need to keep doing. You need to try and slow down the tempo. Yeah,
greedy from 369. Like, even with flash, you just aren't tanky enough to hold on to that. JackeyLove sends out the rocket to try and stop the ports, but misses on that one in the bottom side. So now Top Esports will be forced to back away, and they won't get to answer for the play from WWE.
Well, they might be able to try and push in this top side, but everyone has recalls. They should be able to kind of get that one in. And you can see there, it's a pull, it's a tug, it's a push, you know, counteraction, reaction, more movement. It's all about keeping yourself on form in time with the rest of them. Otherwise, you're just losing.
Yeah, Caedrel actually had a really good way to kind of think about League of Legends, which was like, hey, it's kind of in turns. Like, he talks about it on his YouTube channel a good bit, which is like, what can I do now? And then it goes to the turn of the opponent. Well, you can see WE, they committed multiple resources down to that bottom side, but Top Esports weren't really ready for their turn. They didn't have the waves in the right place, so then they could crash on towards a tower. And you can see, yeah, all that minions in the mid lane were picked up. Top lane was picked up as well. So you don't really get a turn as Top Esports. They're all out of moves, and they've just got to go for the rest option.
Going to pick themselves up a rest. Still a 3,500 gold lead in favor of Top Esports, at a little bit under it. They've got 2 items now onto 369. He's got the Eclipse and the Manamune stacking up very, very nicely. And the Leandri's Torment here for Karsa. So they've got those items coming up. One thing I will say is that WE, they're not a million miles away. If they can kind of keep the items right now, they shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage for this Dragon fight.
No, the disadvantage does come, though, because with that rest option, Top Esports got the quicker resets. They're back onto the map. You've got Knight. Although he doesn't have TP, is pushing in that top lane, so creating a bit of a pickle for WE when this Dragon is about to spawn. And they have full control of this mid. So now Top Esports should be able to get this next Dragon for themselves, slot another one in towards their back pockets, and maybe look to run the gauntlet when it comes to the Dragons and see if they can pick up that Cloud sub.
15 seconds. No real pressure as such from to be stopping this one, I feel like, but with the poke that's coming down, with the shock blast, the zaps coming out from, you know, JackeyLove, it becomes very difficult to walk into this one. And honestly, the plan from Team WE has been to focus on the JackeyLove, getting, you know, kind of advantages from the greediness of not picking up that cleanse. 0-2, he's kind of been a little bit muted. He will still be a monster in the late game, but he has been quelled to an extent.
I mean, he's a Jinx, right? This is what I meant by ticking time bomb. Like, although Kaisa scales well, right? She still does things in the early stages. When she gets her Q evolved, she's still really strong. Gale Force or even the Kraken Slayer, whatever option you go for, is still quite strong. She has an impact. Jinx definitely needs the Kraken Slayer. She needs more damage to come and ramp into her kit, and doesn't really get a huge amount out of her kit until she hits, you know, the later stages of the game.
Well, with everybody resetting off Top Esports, they decide to push into this mid lane. Honestly, this tower is just gone. TP mid coming in, missing jumps straight in. JackeyLove forced the flash and heal straight away. Missing is now out of this fight. As we can see the TP coming in on the backside from Knight. He jumps in, Breathe, finally goes Mega. Now they can turn on to Knight. Nobody's really helping him out, but Shanks has fallen, as has Breathe, as the 2 solo laners down. Now Beishang gets jumped on by 369. They can use the Abyssal Voyage to try and force Jiumeng away, and that could mean Baron for the side of Team Top Esports.
And they will be able to pick that up. Beautiful play from Top Esports. 369 wasn't back on the bot side. He wasn't resetting. He was getting that TP into mid. Same when it came towards Knight. Beautiful, beautiful moment from Top Esports that will net them that Baron.
And they use both TPs, and like you mentioned, they have no problem whatsoever. Just see a moment where they can jump in, get everybody involved, and that is going to be the Baron taken down. So now all of a sudden we've ballooned from 3.5 to a 7,000 gold lead, actually just under about 6,000, and this is going to be everything for Top Esports.
Well done by Top, and this is why this team is looking so damn good. They obviously have this moment here that looks really shaky. Zhuo, somebody needs to check his buttons for a macro or something, because the amount of times he's been able to save JackeyLove on a knife's edge, and then it turns to here where it's like, Top Esports is just like, welcome to Globo Gym. You gotta dodge every different skill shot in existence, and unfortunately for you, you're just stuck in this small little area. Top Esports hit every one of them, smash WE into the ground, and now find themselves with a Baron.
Have themselves a Baron, 6,000 gold lead. They've got themselves a run of the mill. Fortunately for them, Dragon not going to be spawning for another 3 minutes, so they will not have the Baron for when that one comes up. But if Shanks can find a moment, you can see now Breathe is coming in. They're trying to go for it. Perfection from Zhuo, but they still land on top of JackeyLove. He's exhausted straight away, and the killer instinct does mean that JackeyLove is dead. Now they can try and jump on the show. The lulting lullaby means that they are able to get plenty of sleeps down. WE trying to keep themselves alive, trying to keep the health bars healthy, but it's Jiumeng against the world. He takes down the tanky catfish, and now he's got to run away for his life. He's got a red buff, but I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. Boom! Sniped down by 369. It's a 2 for 5, the ace for Team Top Esports.
And now they can start to push in through this mid lane as well. Again, yes, you can get JackeyLove, but you've invested everything in the kitchen sink into this, and Top Esports are like, cool, we've still got 369. We've still got this Lillia. I mean, heck, even Knight is huge. 5-0 and 4 right now. And Top Esports get to crack the base.
Second time they've cracked the base. They've still yet to take an inhibitor, but Karsa might have been caught out. They know he might be going for the blue buff, and you can see the TP coming in here. Karsa now sees Shanks with everybody else, but he's a little bit too far forward. Karsa finally gets taken down as it goes 1, 2, and 6, and there's 2 quick kills in favor of Team WE. They get themselves a nice needed gold. No objectives, though. They can't capitalize on anything.
Pretty nice shutdown, though, going across. Like, that's quite a lot of gold, especially going towards Shanks, who you see Liandry's Anguish, now that Nashor's Tooth, he's going to be in a pretty good spot. And certainly when you look towards, like, hey, who can actually try and fight back against Top Esports, the range Shanks has can do wonders. But again here, like, look, you get so much committed here by WE. Flashes galore to try and get onto him. And although they do kill JackeyLove, look at where 369 is. Nobody's really touching him. Shanks left on his own as Knight comes in as well, and Karsa's getting so much work done with the small enclosed area that WE all jumped into.
I gotta give props to Team WE. They went for something. That's the difference. They tried to go for something. They know if they just let this game go, they're just going to be sieged down. But a triple kill for 369. He's out 6, 2, and 4. 3 items working on his 4th. He is just a monster. 2 or 3 shot blasts, and you're gonna have to go back regardless of who you are.
And this is where I feel like, look, WE, we talked about, well, we had a graphic for it, which was like similar style in this like triple threat compositions that they run. But Top Esports have done it first. Top Esports are the guys that do it better. They will just outperform you in lane. They're better when it comes towards the map play, and especially when Beishang hasn't been able to get off to this early lead because of how good Karsa has been at controlling this early game. This is where WE start to fall behind, and you're seeing the results. 369 rolling only 9s. Knight massive on this Renekton, and JackeyLove is very quickly approaching critical mass. All he needs to do is finish this Zeal item, and he's going to wreck face against WE.
I will say, Jiumeng is on 3 items. He's got the Gale Force, the Collector, and the Rapid Fire Cannon. So he is in a position to carry. And in these team fights, despite everything, he has been positioned very, very nicely. He's been able to go in, get the assassinations when he's able to, and try and keep himself as alive as possible. Yes, he's 2, 2, and 4, not the greatest at score lines, but I still think, I suppose, like silver linings, this is much better from Team WE this time round than they were against EDG. I feel like there is definitely an opportunity here for Team WE if they can find the right team fight.
It is hard, though, because, I mean, look, the fact that Jiumeng has had to go rapid fire cannon says it all. Like, you'd love to get IE and go for full assassination, be like, pew pew, kill everything. You just don't have anyone to set you up here. With how well Zhuo is playing on this Tahm Kench, your backline assassination is just out the window. You're not going to kill Knight. He's just a monster. And Jiumeng is just resigned himself to, hey, we got to fight this front-to-back style. But Top Esports, they're playing that keep-away game, they're playing at range, and they're just playing so beautifully around what WE are trying to execute.
Now with Baron spawning in just over a minute's time, Soul point here for Top Esports. They're on the Cloud Soul. We talked about it many times. Not the most impactful Soul in the world. Does help a little bit, but again, not the greatest or most detrimental to any side. We can see Beishang. He should be all right. This is going to be Zhuo trying to be a little bit of a nuisance here. We'll get another tongue lash. As he,
Zhuo's a level ahead of Beishang. Like, yeah, this is not rough. Good.
There's a level 17 on tonight.
He's got a taste for Man Bear Pig now. The River King wants more.
The River King really does want more. You can see the Gale Force there here for Jiumeng working dividends. They will take out the 3rd and final inner turret here, as they're now looking to try and crack open that 3rd inhibitor turret. Again, very important to note here for Top Esports. They've yet to crack an inhibitor. Yes, the turrets are down. They will have the run of the base should they get a team fight, but they haven't quite gotten the base. The pressure that you naturally get with those super minions isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this stage, it's kind of just a matter of time, right? They're just trying to push WWE completely out of this jungle, keep all this vision that they have. You can see the amount of pink warriors that are littered all through that WWE topside jungle, and now it makes it really tough because if WWE try to move in here, you're walking into a zap, the accelerate shock blast from 369, just all this damage, and you look, I mean, how do you try and close this distance?
There was a TP there from Knight. He is off to the side there, just near the blue buff. But I don't think he quite has the momentum to kind of push into this one. So they do get the TP out of him. I don't think they know he's here, but I think WWE, for the last few fights, are intimately aware that he's definitely somewhere.
Yeah, the lurking croc is always the deadliest. I mean, he's popped his eyes above water. I think they will be aware is that he's more than likely hiding out in these murky waters in the jungle on top side. But WWE are getting some resets in here. They need to take calm down, so Jiumeng isn't there. And now Top Esports will turn towards the big purple water.
And they will go towards it. There was a blue trinket there to see if they had started it. Now they know it has been started. Another blue trinket to see where it's about at. So Knight is still sitting there or behind them, but Beishang is behind them. He does have flash. He is 2 levels behind though, and it looks like Top Esports, they don't even want to go for a 60-40. They want nothing to do with this. Knight is still sitting there, and again, they're going to put TP. They're actually going to just run for the base.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is bait WE in far enough that Knight could flash over the wall and get on towards Jiumeng. They don't even need it though, because the TPs are there. They're in prime position as Breathe now, leading the charge on 369.
Yeah, they're going to jump straight into 369. That will be gold going over to Shanks, and the rest of Top Esports not really there to follow. Missing played keep away. The Predator was popped by Karsa. I thought the plan for Top Esports was to sacrifice 369, go for Baron. Now they can't do that, and this is kind of this weird tempo setup as JackeyLove might have been gotten caught. He has to flash away. Karsa now going to use a lilting lullaby onto the 2 tanks. That's not what you want, and now you have Shanks and Jiumeng available to try and take these fights. Knight trying to play keep away with missing, and this is kind of getting a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, WE actually could have had that moment to shine. They could have got the picks, but Jiumeng was trying to deal with the minions in the base. He wasn't there to follow up the killer instinct, and it means that WE can't capitalize. Now, though, Top Esports, they'll get the reset. With all 3 inhibitors turrets down, it becomes a lot more difficult for WE to hold on to this prime real estate in their base. Expect Top Esports to try again to wait this out a little bit longer, wait for these TPs to come back up, and then punish through 369 and Knight with how far ahead these 2 solo laners are.
Again, though, no inhibitors down does mean that you don't get that extra pressure. You don't get the stream of minions coming in, but with everyone now resetting on the side of Team WE, they turn for Baron.
2 TPs coming in from WE, though. They want to try and shut this down.
They don't go for it. They don't stick.
Turn off. They don't care. All they're trying to do is get these TPs out. It's about resource management, the summoner spell management. Because look at the wave boss. Someone has to go on WE to deal with that. You're going to have your TPs up faster on Top Esports side, and they can look to abuse that fact in the next 2.5 minutes.
Dragon spawning in 13 seconds, but you can tell neither team gives a damn. They do not care about this dragon right now. As we can see, Knight actually in a lot of trouble, taking a hell of a lot of punishment here. Breathe is finally at a position where he's able to kind of go toe-to-toe with this Renekton. The Renekton early game prowess that we talk about is kind of fallen off. Now, because you have to back away from that Baron, because you have to walk away from that objective, it does mean that the clock is reset on this Dragon Soul.
I'm fine with that, though. Like, it's not the Dragon Soul that Top Esports are worried about. They are playing the long con. They got the 2 TPs out of WE. They're going to try and play through the sideline. I mean, look, all you've got is Missing the base, and there's minions on that inhibitor. Now Missing has to show on this, and this is where Top Esports can go and look for an engage.
Yeah, immediately they're moving back in towards this Baron jungle. Immediately kind of push in that vision, get that resource down. Beishang needs to be very careful. Lilting Lullaby, not going to be committed, but a hell of a lot of poke brings him down to just above half. Now Missing joins back in with a team, but like you mentioned, those side lanes are becoming very difficult for everybody to deal with. The big thing this time around, though, I gotta say, is JackeyLove does not have flash. JackeyLove needs to be literally stuck to the hip of Zhuo if he wants to survive a fight.
That's fine. I mean, look, the only thing that you're really worried about would be Missing going for some sort of flash engage, but even the Alistar doesn't have his engage up either. They're on a pretty similar cooldown right now, so you can still keep JackeyLove safe. Maybe Breathe,
whoa,
but there we go.
They jump straight in, and JackeyLove is dead. get. That is what you needed if you're Team WE. Now they can try and jump down onto Zhuo on Knight, but it doesn't matter. They got the pick. This slows everything down from Top Esports.
It could even give the Baron over to WE. You don't have those TPs that we're talking about open available for 369, so this play isn't really available for them right now.
They have
that
to fight.
Mistake from JackeyLove could have cost them.
TP coming in on the side. They turn off it immediately and they're going to try and kill off Knight. He has to run away straight away, and they know they've got the TP out of him now. They've actually pushed in towards that mid lane. That turret has gone down. The minions are pushing in the bot and the top side. They don't have a TP unless 369 uses his very, very soon.
They have to make a call here. No JackeyLove though, and WE will turn towards it. They're trying to get the fight.
Oh, that was a great shock blast though as they try and go in. The lilting lullaby comes down. Everybody's going golden as Breed trying to get something.
Nice.
Udyr is down. Knight, but Shanks gets everybody away. They can keep this fight one going. 369 is still alive. These health bots are so damn low, but it looks like it's going to be. Yes, it will be. It will be Top Esports taking the whole fight. They teetered on the edge of losing and they come out with the win.
And that's what I love about Top Esports, understanding we don't need to engage. We have the range, play to that discrepancy, and they get the 4v5, and missing, try as you will. This is a Top Esports win.
This is going to be Top Esports taking game one of this best of three. It's not over just yet, but what a way to kind of come into it.
Oh,
what a
Breed,
team fight, 45, but Breed is huge. 1, 2, I spoke too soon, Dagda. They can't end the game, but they will leave the base in tatters.
Oh my god, I can't believe Breed has managed to hold on to this, keeping the game alive for WE. Baron is up on the cards, and Top Esports, they don't have the members to go for it. WE are respawning, the base is in shambles, but they could look to take this Baron away from Top Esports.
Yeah, with no Karsa, but Beishang on the map, you can't risk this. You cannot go for this, but maybe WE can, because they know there's no TPs available. There's no cheeky backdoors coming in right now, and they need to try and get back onto the map before WE take this objective.
You've got 369, who is huge though. 369 can do a lot of damage, especially since you're kind of looking at like Beishang, very far behind. Shanks is here as well, but it looks like
They give it up.
Yeah, Top Esports, they don't want to deal with it. They
I don't think they can. I think it's going to be a super mega death rocket steal, and that's about as good as it's going to get, but perfectly positioned there from Breed, stops anything from happening there. And now Team WE, yes, your base is in shambles, but you'll be able to use this Baron to try and get those inhibitors back up.
Yeah, that's the thing here, is that WE, although they have this Baron, they're not going to be able to achieve anything except holding on. It just delays Top Esports, and Missing does get onto Zhuo here, but look at the damage. Like 369, perfect shot onto the three members there. Knight is going nuts in the backline here. And again, 369, he's another AD carry. And when you've got the rest of WE who are going golden in pure panic mode, trying to keep themselves safe, 369 is having a field day in this fight.
I gotta call out Zhuo holding on to the exhaust to literally the last second until Jiumeng goes in and then immediately exhausts him. He pops the Acathian Rain. It doesn't matter because the Acathian Rain will do nothing. I actually was just about to talk about how Jiumeng wouldn't be getting an IE. He did have a last whisper and has immediately sold it and said, no, I need the IE. I need to be assassinating JackeyLove and probably 369 at this stage.
Yeah, it's the only way that they really win. I gotta give a shout out, as you were talking about, Zhuo, like, this was the guy that was very heavy engaged tool. Alistar's, Leona's, like, Rel's, like, he was about being that engaged tool for Top Esports. To see him thriving on such a different style of pick is really, really impressive. Like, he's played the aggressive versus the passive versions of Tahm Kench super, super well, and it's why JackeyLove, even though he's 1-4, isn't like 1-7 and just being dismantled by WE every single fight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, WE have done what they needed to do. They found JackeyLove pretty consistently and they've kept him out of the game, and he's only a little bit behind in items. It's not that big of a deal, but now you have full items onto Kaisa. Jiumeng is big, and there's a TP coming in straight away, but ooh, he goes golden straight off the bat. Zhuo is there. This could be an straight 5v5 straight off the bat. Missing does punt everybody out as they try and go for the fight, but Missing gets excited, gets Jinx excited, excuse me, as they try and look for something else. Knight's still going, but on the top side, Gnar goes down. WE, you had the Baron, you just have to wait for time, you just have to wait for resources, but you will not be given those time, you will not be given those resources. Top Esports will be taking game one in 38.5 minutes. Oh, what a game.
That was a great start to this series, and unfortunately there, one mistake from Breathe will cost WE. TPing in, no Mega Gnar available, no win for WE.
Yeah, the Mega Gnar, but they had vision, and that's all they needed, and that's going to be the game 1 going over to top esports. They don't need the Elder, they don't need the Baron, they just needed the pick. You can see the players there. That was a tough one. That was a strenuous game for top esports. They still come out with the victory, but it's only half the job done. They need to do it again.
Exactly, and I think top esports here, we could see that they did struggle in some portions of the game with dealing with what WE were doing, but honestly, I think that at the end of the day, they were playing around this incredibly well. Whereas, like, trying to make sure that they were able to keep control of these side lanes, play to the teleports, keeping Knight in a position where he was able to find these good flanks. Like, the fact that this Renekton was able to position so superbly time after time after time. Like we saw it in that 4 versus 5 fight. Yes, the damage was coming from 369, but that setup was from Knight.
Yeah, honestly, it's a testament to exactly what we talked about. It's the, you know, the trident, you know, setup, the 3 carry lanes. Yes, you killed JackeyLove, well done you, but you still have Knight, you still have 369, and to a lesser extent, you still had Karsa, who was pumping out damage. So I like the fact that WE were able to kind of catch top esports off guard, but top esports came in like, they're just a better side. They're just a better team in the end of that game, and it was one mistake, one small little movement there that just kind of ended up being the killer as such, you know, for the side of Team WE.
Exactly, and I think that's the big one here for me is that obviously we didn't get to see the draft, but I have a really good feeling that what's happened here is an early pick Renekton into kind of bamboozling WE here, swapping in towards 369 with the Jayce top, and I love the fact that top esports are able to do this and still come out looking so damn clean. And although JackeyLove and Zhuo weren't quite able to get up and running, you can still rely on other members of top esports, and that's what makes them so potent, is that the lanes themselves are able to come alive, and it's not feeling very much like what WE is, which is if Beishang can get rolling, get the team set up, great. Otherwise, it all starts to crumple and not look as good as before.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to see WE go towards something like the Camille, maybe, for someone, like as a counter pick to something in the top side. Combo that, like we saw, like one of the earliest plays we saw earlier in this year was like, you know, that Camille-Orianna combination where you're just jumping on and finding someone immediately, and then you take the next team fight. And I would like to see them kind of do that, you know, kind of slightly separately. The one, again, caveat I'll give to this, WE looked much better than they did against EDG, and I'm excited for that because they showed options and resources in that game that made me think, like, yes, they could take a game off top esports. They can force this to 3 games.
I think the biggest issue for me was looking at the way Beishang played around the lanes in the early stages. Like, what I wanted to see was him working with Shanks, working off of Breed's pressure and invading with them. But we saw literally level 3, he got caught out in the early stages, not actually playing around it correctly, and that caused a lot of the issues we saw in this early to mid game.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues, of course, was that Tahm Kench. Zhuo was our MVP for game 1. The guy was, like you said, it was hacks. He was just able to keep everybody and anybody safe, and we called it out a couple of times, the unsung hero of just being able to stop Jiumeng in his tracks with exhaust, with devours. The guy was on point.
And a very different style from Zhuo as well. Like we talked about in the game, that this is usually the Alistar, the Rel, the big engage tool for top esports, but seeing him take that step back onto the Tahm Kench, phenomenal performance. And I love that we can get multiple different styles out of this guy, because that was kind of the big question for me, was like, what happens when we start to move away from this style of play, when we start to move towards maybe more passive supports or even like enchanter supports. It's good to see that top esports can rely on Zhuo in his rookie split to still be an absolute monster.
Yeah, and we'll see now if they're able to continue that momentum into game 2, or if WE will give us a series. We're going to send it to a quick break. When we return, game 2 of top esports versus Team WE.